Okay, what is up, guys? Today, it's a pretty easy assignment. You got 4 to do on your own, and they all pretty much work out the same way. So again, like these equations, we got to know how many answers there are, and this one has 2. They all have 2 because you have x to the second. Okay, now what method are you going to use? Set boxes or x squared equals x equals? Well, you know you got the x to the second. Do you have an x not to the second? Yep, right there. So since you have that, you have to use set boxes because you have x, and that x are totally different. That's to the second, that one's not. So you're set. Now what boxes are you going to draw? Well, it depends how many terms you got. Okay, you only have 2 today, so it's GCF DOPS. So, and all these are going to have a GCF. And we're going to see if we have a difference of perfect squares. Okay, so GCF, 3 things I look for is whether I need the negative, whether I need the x, and then the GCF between the 2 big coefficient numbers, 9 and 18. So, before we get to that, let's look at the negative. Now my number in front's not negative, so I won't need that. Now look at both terms, okay? Is x on both of them? Yeah, x to the second and x is on the 18. I put a first power there because x is on both of them. So I need x, and I need it to be to the smaller power, which is the first. Okay, so I need the x. Then GCF. Remember, if all your terms have x of any power, you're going to need x, and you take it to the smallest power. Okay, so GCF calculator. And let's look at, excuse me, 9 and 18. 9 comma 18. Okay, I got 9. So that means 9x to the first power comes out here. I put a parentheses around it, and then I go divide by 9x to the first power. Now I divide 9 by 9, that's 1, and on x, I take 2 minus 1, which is 1. And then I take positive 18 divided by 9, it's 2. Positive 2, so I put plus 2. And since these x's are both to the same power, we just cross those out. Okay? Now remember the rule for DOPS is x to the second there, and you're looking at the second parentheses. Okay? X to the second is not here, it's x to the first, so I will need to cross that box out. I will get to cross the box out. And that's it. Okay? So I put equals 0, and then F1, F2. Now those first powers I don't want to write because I don't want to worry about it if it's to the first. So now I set 9x equal to 0 and 1x plus 2 equals 0. So I dot my x's and circle them. So 9 times x, I don't add or subtract, I just need to divide by 9. And 0 divided by 9, if you forgot the rule, it's 0. So there's your first answer. Then I need to minus the 2 first. That is not 0 though. When you add or subtract to 0, it changes it. And then negative 2. So 1 times x equals negative 2. Then I divide by 1. Sorry about the mower out there. And I don't really even need to divide by 1. It's negative 2. So those are the 2 answers. Okay, my next problem. There's 2 answers. What method? Now you got x to the second. Do you have an x in there that's not to the second? Yep, right here. Okay, so we got 2 different x's, one to the second, one not. So it's got to be set boxes. Okay, so you're set. Now, what boxes are they? Underline the terms. Now there's not 3, there's not 4, there's only 2 of them, so it's GCF DOPS. Okay, so the negative, x, and the GCF. So the negative we are going to need because the very first number is negative, so I got to put a negative there, okay? And then up here, and then right there. All those have to be negative. Okay, do both the terms contain x? Well, there's x and there's x, so yes, they do. So I look for my smallest powers, second and first. So I need x to the first, okay? And then I look for the GCF between 24 and 9. Okay, it's 3. So with that negative, I put 3x to the first in parentheses and come up here and divide by negative 3x to the first. So negative 24 divided by negative 3 is 8. And then x, I take 2 minus 1, that's 1. And then I take negative 9 divided by negative 3, and that's 3, positive 3. So I put plus 3. And again, those x's are the same power, so they go away. Okay, now the dots, remember you're looking at this parentheses here, is the x to the second power there. No, it's not, so I can't go xx because it's only to the first power. There's only one of them. So again, we get to cross that box out, put equals 0, and I have F1 and F2. Okay, get rid of the first powers. We don't want to see them there if they're just to the first power because it's just like having x. And then negative 3x could equal 0, or 8x plus 3 could equal 0. So I dot my x, and here I don't add or subtract. I go straight to the dividing by negative 3. And remember, 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. So that's my first solution, 0. And then here I got to minus the 3 before I divide. So 8 times x, and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Okay, then I do the division by 8 and by 8. Now this is a decimal, who cares? Okay, go with it. Negative 0.37. I always put 2 digits after the decimal, or 0.38, I guess. Okay, next problem. 14x to the second minus 42x is 0. So again, there's 2 answers. Now for your method, do you have any x's that are not to the second? Yup, right there. So that's an x second, that's an x not to the second, so it's got to be set boxes. Okay, so you're set, your zero's there. Now what boxes are they? Well, I underline how many terms I have, and there are 2. So GCF DOPS. And DOPS. Okay, GCF. I check for the negative. I check see if I need the X and the GCF. Okay, so is the first number negative? 14? Nope. Don't need it. Is X on both terms? Yeah, I have X here and X here. So I take the X to the smaller power, which is the first. And then I see what the GCF of 14 and 42 is. And I get 14. Okay, so 14x to the first comes out here. And we divide. And 14 divided by 14 is 1, and then 2 minus 1 is 1. And then I take negative 42 divided by positive 14, and that's negative 3. So I put minus 3, and then these are both to the same power, so they're gone. Okay. Now DOPS, is the x to the second even there? Nope. If it's x to not to the second, you get rid of that, and then you put equals 0, and you go F1, F2. And we don't need those first powers there once I put the F label on them. So 14x could equal 0, or 1x minus 3 could equal 0. So I dot my x's. And then I don't add or subtract, I just divide by 14. And 0 divided by 14 is 0. So 0 is your first answer. Then I plus 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. And I really don't need to divide if it's a 1. That's my answer, 3. Because 1 times x would just be x. Okay. Any other number you have to divide. Okay, then the last problem, 30x to the second power plus 15x equals 0. There's 2 answers. And is there an x that isn't to the second? Yes, there is, right there. Okay, that one's to the first. So again, we have to use set boxes. Whenever you have x second and x the first, you have to, it's set boxes. So you're set. Okay, again, there's only 2 terms, so I check for my greatest common factor. And then I see if I can do a difference of perfect squares. Okay, so again, negative x and then the GCF. So is the first number negative? No, it's not. There's x on both terms. Yeah, x here. So I take the x that's to the smaller power. Okay, then I GCF calculator 30 and 15. And it's 15. Okay, so 15 is going with the x. So 15x to the second, kick his butt out here. And then divide by 15x to the first. Okay, so I divide 30 by 15, and that's 2. Then 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay. Then 15 divided by 15, we take a number divided by itself, and they're both positive. It's 1. And the first powers are gone because they're both the same. 1 minus 1 would be 0, so you wouldn't even have an x. Okay, now DOPS right here is x to the second power there. Nope, it's to the first power. Okay, so I put equals 0 up here, and then I go F1 and F2. So we don't want the first powers there anymore. Okay, so 15x could equal 0, or the possibility that 2x plus 1 could equal 0. So I dot my x's, both of them. And here I'm going to go divided by 15. Straight to divide on this one because there's no plus or minus. And that'd be 0. Then plus 1, so I'm going to need to minus 1. And 0 minus 1 brings us to negative 1 on that side. And then I divide by my multiplier because it's not a 1, so I need to divide by 2. And I'm going to divide negative 1 by 2, and that's negative 0.5. Okay, and that's your 2 solutions.